Hello friends, in this video we are going to learn what happens when we create instance of a class. So let's create a class first. So in Python we create class like class, the name of the class. So we'll create a class with name student. Then after creating the class we will first define the init method. So that will work as initializer of this class instance as a constructor in Python language. Let's remove these things and pass first name and last name as arguments. So we will initialize our object with self.fname equal to fname, self.lname equal to lname, then self.fullname equal to, we will pass a f string. So f string, if you don't know about it, that is simply a format, simply a way to format a string. So we just have to write a small f in front. After that we have to use a string, and inside the string we can write anything. If we want to use any variable, we will just enclose it in curly braces. So we will put f name here, then a space, and then we will put l name, that is last name. Sorry, let me move it inside the curly braces. Yeah, so our class now got this init method. Then we will create instance of the class. So it will be s1 equal to student, then braces. Let me put one line of space between them. Let me save it. And after that what we will do, we will pass this first name and last name. So first name is, we'll pass it as Apurv, last name Jha. Then we will try to print full name. So s1 dot full name. Now we will simply run this code and we can see it has printed Apurv Jha. Got it? So by this way we simply created our class. But the thing which we want to learn here is how this instance of the class, this s1, got created, how we have created one class instance. So let's understand that now in details. So what happens as the first step when we wrote s1 equal to student, that is the class name, and in bracket we have given these arguments. The first thing happened was it has called a method that is dunder call. So it is like this: s1 equal to class name student. Then on top of this class name it has called double underscore call, and then again double underscore, and after that it has put the parameters which we are sending it there. So internally when we wrote s equal to s student Apurv comma Jha, it has modified, it has changed it to student dot dunder call then Apurv Jha. So why I call it dunder is this kind of method which are enclosed between double underscores are called dunder methods. So dunder is like double underscore, so dunder method. This some people also call it as magic method. So it's on you what you want to call it. So if I comment this line and save it and try to run this again, then you can see again the same thing happened. We have got our instance created, because internally in earlier case also it has been converted to this call method. Now let's see what happens when we use call method. Before that, if you are still confused that what is this call method, so let us give a brief introduction to this dunder method. So in Python, when we have to do operator overloading, we use the same kind of dunder method. So let me open Python here so here at this place, if you see, if we are using 5 plus 6, so it is giving us 11. In the same way, instead of integer, if we are using a, that is a string, plus b, so it will give us ab. So how this is happening? The same plus is working for two different classes. This is because this is what called operator overloading. So now we will see how is this happening. So for addition, what internally it is happening here, it is converting this plus to dunder add method. It is like this: double underscore add, then double underscore, and in this bracket we are passing 5 comma 6 as arguments, and before that we apply this method on the object. Like here 5 and 6 are integer, so we are applying it to integer class. Now if I run this, we will get the same output, because in this time also it has got converted to dunder add, so we are getting the same thing. Now if in place of 5 and 6 we want to put it as a and b, suppose we are making it as a and then as b, then we will get error. Why? Because we are still using the add method, which is there in integer class, int class. Got it? So let us change this integer to use the string class overridden add method, that is str, and then we'll see, we will get ab. So based on what from what class these objects are, this Python internally changes this plus operator to use this dunder add. Now I think it is more clear to you why we use dunder method. So here also, if we use student, the class name, and then bracket, so bracket are operators here, so it is just converting it to the class name student dot dunder call, then passing the arguments are as arguments. So we understood what is happening here internally for dunder call. Now after dunder call, what is happening there? So let me minimize this thing. Yeah, so after dunder, what happens is it calls a method named as dunder new. Let me remove these things which may confuse you now. So it is like star args, and let me remove this return thing. Okay, so we'll remove this pass. So this dunder call method first calls this dunder new method, and you can also say this init is also dunder method. So dunder new is then called. So suppose we are printing here, printing this CLS and args. So what is happening? We have overwritten this dunder new method of object class that we are inheriting from. So in Python, everything is object. So even nothing is written here for inheritance, but it is by default inheriting object. So if we are overriding this dunder new method, then it is not able to call the method which is already there in this object class. So let's run this and see what is coming now. So you see we are getting error because there is no full name. Why? Because object itself is not getting created, because this dunder new method is used to create object, but what we are doing here is we are just printing these things. So for now, let us comment this print, statement, and then try to run this. So now we can see it has printed this. It has, after this dunder call method, it has been to this print, and then it has printed the class, the CLS, you can see main dot student, the class name. After that, it has also printed args. So you can see that is a tuple here with approve and whatever name, whatever arguments we have passed. Okay, and we are not doing anything apart from printing this. That's why the object, that the instance of class has not been created, and because the instance has not been created, so init method has not been called. So init method is only called when we have instance. So when this new method calls, creates instance, allocates memory to that, and puts name for it, then it will call this init method to initialize that instance. So if we don't have instance, this init method won't be called, and so we are not getting anything here. Now moving forward, what we will do, we will just call the method, the new method what is already there in object class using super. So we will just use super dot dunder new, and then we will pass CLS, the class, and what we will do is we will put whatever we get in return as instance. So instance equal to this thing. Now what we will do with this instance is we will take the instance and call our init method. So dunder init, whatever we have, and as you see our init method requires 2 arguments, so we will just pass it as args because we have that in form of args. So after this happens, we will simply return from it. So we will choose not to return anything, let it just return by default the normal object reference. So this time what we will do is we will debug our code to see all the changes live. So we are here. Now you can see we don't have any student variable. Let us go using F11. So we have entered to this dunder new class. You can see this class is like student, whatever the class is, we are passing that thing, because this student has been passed as class. And for arguments, you can see here also that we have this Apurv and Jha in arguments. Next, if we press F10, we will see this thing got printed because of this print. Then instance will be created with the super keyword. So that is like whatever is there in the parent class of student, that is object class, that will use that new method and create instance. So now we can see we have instance with us. So we have this instance object at this memory location, you can see, right? After that, it will call the init method of our function, our class. So I press F11, that's why it went down. Let me just start again. Yeah, so this time I pressed F11, that's why it entered into the flow. So now here you can see we have object of this class as self, the instance of the class. Then fname is Apurv because we have passed everything as tuple, so it has converted it to separate strings and it has put it here. So it will assign everything, and then if we move out, we are here. So we have object now. So if you go here, if you go here in debug console, I can just type and show you. So what S1 is? None. Why is this none? Because we have not returned anything. So we have S1 as none because we have not returned anything. So let us return this instance here. So let me stop this and rerun it. So this time if you see, we have S1 object with us here also, you can see. And if I go to debug console, I can show you S1, enter, we are getting this object. And if I expand that, you can see first F name is Apurv, full name is Apurv Jha, L name is Jha. So the object has been created successfully this time. So now you can see what is happening internally when we are creating this any instance of a class in Python. Now the question arises, why we want to learn this? We are already creating a class using student this thing. Then why we want to create an extra method, and then we want to know all about this thing. So this is because in some scenarios, some cases, we may need this. For example, suppose if you have created a class which is used by an API, you have created an API and there is one class, and you want only 5 instances or some limited number of instances to be created for that particular class. Then how do you do that? How do you limit the number of instances to be created? So this is just one use case of this thing. So what we will do that time is, we can customize our class creation using this new method to achieve this functionality. So for that, we will create a private variable or internal variable, that is, suppose instance count, instance underscore count, and we'll put it as 0 because we don't have any instance yet. So for this case, suppose we just want to create single instance of a class, we don't want to create more than one instance of a class. So we will limit that using this new method to customize our class instance formation. So here we will write if cls dot instance count equal to 0, then we will do all this. We will create an instance. Also at that time, we will increase this counter value plus equal to 1. Otherwise, what we will do, we will simply return no more instance can be created, and we will save that. So let us debug this and see everything as live. So we have not created any instance yet, just these it has reached till here, we have not even run this line. So let us go to console and run this line there. So let me copy this and we will run this. Okay, so now if we want to run s1 dot fname, so we can get it as Apurv. Now again we will paste it and try to create s2 different object, which I think won't be created because we have restricted the amount to 1. And let me change it to Abhishek and put enter. Now if we use s2 dot fname, we are getting there is no such object. Why is that so? Because if we want to print s2, now we can see s2 has returned no more instance can be created, means it is returning this statement, right? So this s2 variable is not actually an object, that is just a string. So we have got this thing coming here. Got it? So like this, we have a lot of scenarios where we can customize the instance creation in Python with this, using this thing, like using overriding this dunder new method. So if you have any doubt or confusion, please comment it below and I will try to resolve it ASAP. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.